We prepare constantly. We prepare posts. We prepare profiles. We prepare reactions. We prepare our public image. But notice what all this preparation is actually for. We are not preparing to be corrected. We are not preparing to be shown where we are wrong. We are preparing to be judged at the level of appearance. That is the problem. These preparations do not function as standards. They cannot tell us what to revise. They cannot tell us which beliefs are false. They cannot tell us what needs to change. Because they are designed to fit expectations, not to test them. The energy we invest in them does not come back as learning. It comes back as approval or rejection. And approval and rejection instruct only when they are tuned to truth. When approval reliably rewards what is correct, and disapproval reliably targets what is false. When they function merely as social signals, as moralizing defaults detached from judgment, they are mere vanity. Epictetus once asked why we make such elaborate preparations for life. Why so much training? Why so many disciplines? Why so many discourses? And then he answered himself, all this is nothing. I am preparing myself for something great. What he meant was not strength in the eyes of others, but a form of preparation that survives contact with reality. Because a real preparation must be able to fail in a meaningful way. It must expose error. It must correct belief. It must tell you when you are wrong. Most digital preparation cannot do that. It optimizes visibility, not judgment. It refines presentation, not orientation. It amplifies signals without telling you what they mean. This is why we return to Stoic philosophers on this channel. Not because ancient wisdom has metaphysical priority, not because it should serve as an intelligence default, and not because the past knows answers the present cannot find. We return to them because cultures facing different challenges sometimes discovered structural insights that still apply. Watching what they held fixed and what they allowed to vary helps us avoid helplessness. The point is not to inherit their solutions. The point is to practice a way of thinking that separates what instructs from what merely reacts. We must develop our own answers to the digital world. But hypothesizing how Epictetus might respond to digital pressure is not nostalgia. It is an exercise in distinguishing preparation from display, correction from applause, judgment from noise. And that exercise is never useless. Epictetus once asked a strange question. Why do we make such elaborate preparations for life? Why so much training? Why so many disciplines? Why so many discourses? Is it for power? For status? For protection? For armed guards and social prestige? And then he answers himself. All this is nothing. I am preparing myself for something great. That line matters today more than ever, because in the digital world, most of our preparation is aimed at the wrong target. We prepare posts, we prepare profiles, we prepare reactions. We prepare ourselves to be seen, approved, validated. But Epictetus was not preparing to be admired. He was preparing to be unshaken. That becomes clear in another passage, where he explains what firmness really is. The good, he says, is not found in external materials, not in circumstances, not in recognition. The good lies in the will. and the bad lies there too. And the reason is simple. If good and bad were outside me, then every reaction, every comment, every outcome would carry information capable of changing who I am. My beliefs would be rewritten by applause. My direction would be corrected by rejection. My judgment would swing with every signal I receive. But external events do not know what I should think. They do not know what matters. They do not know what counts as improvement. They only happen. Only my will can evaluate them. Only my judgment can decide what they mean. Only I can turn an event into a lesson or into noise. That is why Epictetus places both good and bad in the will. Because if something cannot improve my reasoning, cannot clarify my values, cannot strengthen my judgment, then it has no authority over my inner life. Control begins exactly there. Not in controlling outcomes, but in controlling what is allowed to instruct me. Once you understand that, approval stops being guidance, rejection stops being punishment, and circumstances lose their power to define you. They become data, not verdicts. What determines strength is not numbers, not force, not popularity. 10 are stronger than 1 only if they have right opinions. If they do not, they are weaker than a single person who does. That is a devastating thought for the age of social media, because online, numbers look like strength. Likes feel like power. Engagement feels like authority. But Stoicism cuts through the illusion. Numbers do not make you strong. Attention does not make you right. Visibility does not make you free. If your peace depends on reactions, you are already outnumbered. Not by others, but by forces you do not control. Epictetus offers a different goal. Prepare yourself not for applause, but for stability. Not for reach, but for firmness. Not for being liked, but for being intact. You can post, you can speak, you can participate, but you do not hand over your well-being to outcomes. You do not negotiate your inner state with algorithms. You do not let numbers decide your worth. That is what digital resilience actually is. Not withdrawal, not indifference, but a trained will that knows where the good really is. And once you see that, social media stops being a judge. It becomes just another circumstance. And circumstances, Epictetus reminds us, were never in charge.